Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a historical event that, even decades later, it still casts this long shadow over a nation, sparking really intense debates about truth and power and justice.
Right.
This isn't just history tucked away in books, it's a story that actually reshaped whole communities. It challenged fundamental beliefs about, the role of the state.
Hmm.
So today we're taking a deep dive into the 1984-85 miners' strike. We're specifically zeroing in on the pivotal and frankly highly controversial events known as the Battle of Orgreave.
Yeah, Orgreave.
Yeah.
It's a name that still carries a lot of weight.
It really does. Our mission, drawing from this rich tapestry of sources you've shared, historical accounts, personal testimonies, media analyses, legal documents, is to explore its complexities, the profound human impact, and crucially, why this event continues to resonate so powerfully 40 years on.
Exactly.
As we delve into these sources, I'm keen to explore the, surprising facts and insights they offer into how society grapples with information, power, and memory.
Indeed. And what immediately stands out from our sources is this core insight. Orgreave wasn't just a historical event. It seems like it was almost a deliberate early blueprint for shaping public perception and power dynamics.
A blueprint. That's strong.
Well, the impact of that shaping resonates even 40 years later. It makes it a really compelling case study in the long, often painful arc of justice right up to today, September 2025.
Okay. So the stage for this huge confrontation was set back in March 1984. The National Union of Mine Workers, the NUM, they initiated a national strike.
Right.
Now, the National Coal Board, the NCB, publicly claimed plans to close just 20 pits. But our sources, including later declassified records, they paint a very different picture,
Very different.
indicating that over 70 pits were actually targeted, with a potential loss of nearly 70,000 jobs.
70,000. It's a staggering number.
What our sources reveal here is really compelling. This suggestion that it wasn't just another industrial dispute, but maybe a much deeper premeditated strategy. Can you walk us through the evidence they present for that?
Absolutely. The sources, they reveal the Ridley Plan from way back in 1977, a secret conservative strategy designed specifically to confront and, undermine a major union.
Ridley Plan.
And Margaret Thatcher's government, it seems, was strategically prepared for a strike, building up massive coal stocks, establishing a secret civil contingencies unit, the CCU, in 1981, all to plan meticulously for this very confrontation.
So years in advance.
Years. The explicit goal, as one declassified memo apparently stated, was to break the power of the militants in the NUM. This wasn't, a spontaneous reaction. It was a highly organized, long-term governmental effort.
That's a stark picture of governmental intent.
Yeah.
But playing devil's advocate for just a second, were there any voices in the sources arguing this level of preparation was maybe a necessary response, given the NUM's historical militancy, rather than just pure undermining?
That's a fair question. And certainly official narratives at the time would have framed it as a necessary defense against a powerful union, wouldn't they? However, the declassified documents, they lean very heavily towards a proactive dismantling strategy.
Okay. And perhaps even more crucially, while the government's strategy was clearly defined, our sources also highlight significant internal divisions within the NUM itself. What were these fault lines? How did they ultimately impact the union's effectiveness?
Yes, this is absolutely key. These internal divisions were a crucial factor. Arthur Scargill, the NUM leader, made the very controversial decision not to hold a national ballot for strike action.
No ballot, big decision.
Huge. And it created significant internal fissures. It undeniably weakened the union's moral standing, as many miners felt unrepresented, and its legal standing, too. Made the strike action potentially vulnerable without that national mandate.
So weaker on two fronts, really.
Exactly. The Observer newspaper, for instance, reported these divisions right from the start, highlighting how miners deeply split. You had flying pickets from Yorkshire, seeking to persuade or intimidate the Knots miners into walking out.
Persuade or intimidate sounds tense.
Oh, the emotional toll was immense. Some working miners in Nottinghamshire felt Scargill was turning miner against miner. One quote is particularly stark, saying they'd string him up from the nearest lamppost.
Wow, powerful stuff from the sources. This raises a big question then. How much did this internal discord, these internecine conflicts, pit against pit, as one source put it, how much did that contribute to the strike's eventual catastrophic defeat?
It's hard to overstate its importance.
Yeah.
Neil Kinnock, who was the labor leader then, he even attributed the defeat to the suicidal vanity of Arthur Scargill. He believed a ballot would have ensured unity.
So Kinnock thought a ballot was the key. It's a chilling reminder that even in seemingly binary conflicts, those internal dynamics can be incredibly complex and just profoundly impactful.
Indeed. It fractured their solidarity at the most critical moment.
Okay, now let's turn our attention to the epicenter of this deep dive. Orgreave itself. The objective for the miners there was strategically vital, wasn't it?
Absolutely vital. The coking plant supplied coke to the Scunthorpe Steelworks. So the NUM strategy was disrupt this supply, impact steel production, and hopefully increase their negotiating power. Simple logic, really.
Makes sense. But the setup on June 18th, 1984, it was truly extraordinary. We're talking about 6,000 striking miners arriving at Orgreave,
Yeah.
met by an equally massive police presence, also around 6,000 officers, many in full riot gear, supported by, 58 dogs and 42 horses?
Quite the deployment.
And what makes this particular day so crucial, our sources reveal, is that unlike other days where police tried to block pickets, at Orgreave they apparently fell over themselves to be helpful.
Helpful. How so?
By guiding miners into this contained field, the topside it was called, a field with very limited escape routes, some pickets were, quite rightly, suspicious.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Being led into a contained space like that.
Exactly. So given this meticulous setup, miners guided into a contained field. Our sources describe the scene less as a battle and more as a rout. What evidence do they present to support this claim, this idea of a pre-planned police operation rather than a spontaneous clash?
That's a critical distinction, and the evidence is, well, compelling. The containment itself is a big clue, but then the actions that followed point towards a deliberate strategy.
Okay, what actions?
Assistant Chief Constable Clement ordered the police lines to open, and what followed was a series of charges by mounted officers, police on horseback, armed with long truncheons, just charging across the field.
Into the contained miners.
Into the contained miners. They were quickly followed by snatch squad officers in riot gear. Miners fled, naturally. Many were assaulted with batons. In all the chaos, a senior officer was apparently heard shouting, "Bodies, not heads."
Bodies, not heads.
Chilling! Though junior officers were observed hitting heads as well, it should be said. One particularly vivid account describes a P.C. Martin of Northumbria force seen on national television.
On TV.
Yes. Straddling a defenseless miner on the ground and battering him repeatedly about the head with his truncheon. Despite millions seeing this, he wasn't prosecuted or disciplined.
Nothing, even though it was on TV.
Nothing. P.C. Martin himself apparently later said senior officers were encouraging the lads. Ultimately, 95 miners were arrested that day, charged with riot, which carried a potential life sentence, or unlawful assembly.
Just try to picture that. You're cornered in a field, facing mounted police charging at you. You witness a fellow miner being brutally beaten, knowing it's on national television, and yet no justice for the victim. It really paints this stark picture of what many sources call a state-organized paramilitary force operating with impunity.
Impunity is the word, yes.
And this physical confrontation, as brutal as it was only one front, wasn't it? Our sources reveal the battle for public opinion that followed was equally intense and, you could argue, even more insidious.
Absolutely. The media narrative became crucial.
So how did the media's portrayal directly contradict what we now understand happened on the ground? What did the sources say about that?
This brings us to a really crucial insight about the integrity of, well, public broadcasting and the press at the time. The BBC's early evening news coverage of Orgreave, it was heavily criticized. Why? For reordering the footage.
Reordering it? How?
Showing miners throwing missiles before the police charges, which created this highly misleading narrative implying the miners started the violence.
But that wasn't the sequence of events.
Not according to many witnesses and other footage. In stark contrast, ITN's coverage showed police violence much more clearly and even characterized it as a planned operation.
So, different channels, different stories.
Very different. And beyond TV, the tabloid press was particularly aggressive. The Sun newspaper, famously, tried to publish a front page with Arthur Scargill's picture next to the headline, Mein Führer.
Comparing him to Hitler.
Directly. Drawing analogies to Adolf Hitler, its own printers actually refused to run it. But it shows the intent. This was part of a broader, systematic effort to demonize strikers, frame the whole thing as a war, comparing Thatcher to Churchill even.
Wow. And you see headlines using phrases like charge of the Blue Brigade from the Telegraph or charge of the Coke Brigade from the Express.
Exactly. Echoing Tennyson's charge of the Light Brigade, trying to cast the police as these valiant, courageous figures. It was a calculated effort to absolutely control the narrative.
That manipulation of narrative, then, it seems it extended right into the legal system, too,
Mm.
with truly shocking revelations about the trial that followed. Almost a year after Orgreave, May 1985, the trial of 15 miners charged with riot began. But after 48 days, it just collapsed. The prosecution abandoned the case.
Spectacularly collapsed, yeah.
What did our sources uncover about why this prosecution failed so dramatically?
What's fascinating here, and a truly critical insight from our sources, is this. Despite the exposure of widespread police misconduct, we're talking perjury, false arrests, dictated statements, not a single officer faced disciplinary or criminal proceedings.
Not one.
Not one. This created what some sources describe as a culture of impunity. It became abundantly clear in court that many police statements were dictated, fabricated, or even forged. Officers had lied under oath.
Blame, perjury.
Blatant. Furthermore, a secret, unlawful public order policing manual was revealed. It detailed tactics like using short shields and truncheons to incapacitate protesters, and this manual was deployed for the first time at Orgreave.
First use at Orgreave.
Yeah.
And many officers were without identification numbers too, right? Making accountability even harder.
Exactly. Incredibly difficult. And even though South Yorkshire police later paid nearly £425,000 to 39 miners in an out-of-court settlement in 1991 for assault, unlawful arrest, malicious prosecution, they never actually admitted wrongdoing.
No admission of liability. And that payout, £425,000 for 39 miners, it averages out to just under £11,000 each. Seems a small figure for everything they went through.
A very small figure, considering the trauma and the clear injustice.
It's astonishing to consider that level of institutional wrongdoing with so little consequence for the actual perpetrators. The impact of Orgreave, then, it wasn't confined to a single brutal day or a failed trial. It cast this long, dark shadow over British society for decades. What are some of the long-term consequences our sources highlight for the communities, for the individuals involved?
Oh, the consequences for mining communities were devastating, just devastating, extending far beyond the end of the strike itself. Our sources detail long-term physical and psychological problems, mass job losses that just decimated entire towns, broken marriages, increased drug use, even suicides. The very fabric of these communities was torn apart.
Just ripped apart.
Yes, and the divisions between striking and working miners, they persisted for decades. The term scab rab remained highly charged, marking families and whole neighborhoods. Interestingly, a 2024 Radio Nottingham survey found most people under 30 didn't even know what scab meant anymore.
Shows how history fades for some, doesn't it?
It illustrates how some of this history has faded from broader public consciousness. Yeah. But certainly not for those who lived through it. It's a profound social scar.
And this brings us to something chilling but crucial, revealed by our sources. This direct chronological link drawn between Orgreave and the Hillsborough disaster 5 years later in April 1989.
Yes, Hillsborough.
Both involved the same police force, South Yorkshire Police. Can you elaborate on the parallels our sources draw and the profound lesson they might offer about institutional accountability or maybe lack thereof?
Drawing these parallels, the sources consistently highlight that both cases involved serious wrongdoing by South Yorkshire Police. At Orgreave, you had the assaults, wrongful arrests, and false prosecutions of the miners and perjury in court.
Right.
At Hillsborough, it was gross negligence by the police leading to the deaths of 97 football fans.
97 people.
Critically, both involved police attempts to manipulate the evidence and colluding with the media to portray a false picture of events and blame the innocent, blame the victims.
So a pattern of behavior.
Exactly. This connection is seen as more than just coincidence. Our sources argue quite strongly that the way police abused power and essentially got away with it at Orgreave fostered the culture of impunity that then allowed the Hillsborough cover-up to occur.
So Orgreave enabled Hillsborough, in a sense.
That's the argument. Had the lies after Orgreave been addressed properly, the Hillsborough tragedy's aftermath might have been profoundly different. It highlights this dangerous continuity, revealing how unchecked power in one instance can really pave the way for future tragedies and deep-seated injustices. It's a powerful, powerful lesson about the cost of impunity.
Given these stark parallels and the profound impact, the fight for truth has clearly been a monumental struggle, echoing other battles for justice we've seen, like the post office scandal or Grenfell, where you see ordinary working people trying to get justice facing immense resistance.
Yes.
For decades, the Orgreave Truth and Justice Campaign, the OTJC, formed by ex-miners and their supporters, they relentlessly lobbied for an independent inquiry. Can you tell us about the resistance they faced and the eventual breakthrough?
The resistance was immense, yeah. The Independent Police Complaints Commission, the IPCC, back in 2015, they declined a full investigation. They cited their limited remit, focusing on disciplinary issues for officers who were mostly retired by then, and also a lack of resources.
Convenient excuses, some might say.
Well, then in 2016, the Home Secretary at the time, Amber Rudd, she refused an inquiry outright, stating there were no deaths, no convictions, no miscarriage of justice, no new lessons. And that was a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Dismissive. Very. Reports from our sources also suggest this refusal was partly to avoid tarnishing Thatcher's memory. It really is a testament to the sheer perseverance required for these campaigns.
But they kept going.
They kept going. And after continued pressure, growing support from trade unions, local councils, MPs across the political spectrum, Labour made a clear commitment to an inquiry. And even religious leaders like the Bishop of Sheffield, a significant breakthrough finally occurred. On July 22, 2025, an inquiry into Orgreave was finally announced.
40 years. A powerful moment, 40 years in the making. What will this inquiry actually entail, and what do its proponents hope it will achieve beyond just acknowledging history?
Right. This raises the important question. What will this inquiry achieve? It's chaired by Pete Wilcox, the Bishop of Sheffield, and it's modeled on the Hillsborough Independent Panel. Crucially, it will have powers to summon witnesses and compel the release of documents.
That's key, the power to compel.
Absolutely vital. Its stated goal is to bring long-hidden truths into the light and examine the brutal treatment of striking miners and the subsequent fabrication of police evidence. The OTJC, the campaign group, they believe it's about restoring justice, accountability, ensuring the operational independence of the police, and basically resetting standards in public life.
So real-world impact, not just history.
Exactly. For many aging miners, just securing a public acknowledgement of what the state did is crucial.
Yeah.
To right the wrongs of the past, and, importantly, to profoundly influence the future behavior of public officials. It's not just about looking back. It's about setting a precedent for future accountability.
This whole deep dive into Orgreave, it really reveals how profoundly intertwined history, politics, and justice can become, doesn't it? It's truly a testament to the extraordinary perseverance of those who fought not just a strike, but also for truth itself over generations.
And it offers powerful lessons for all of us, I think. The events at Orgreave, the secret government plans, the media manipulation, the police misconduct, and then this decades-long fight for an inquiry. It just highlights the critical importance of transparency and accountability in any democracy. It really challenges us to look beyond the simplistic narratives, doesn't it? And to always question the official accounts.
Absolutely. So in an era like ours, with rapid information, constant updates, this story forces us to consider. When the truth about a foundational injustice like this takes 40 years, 4 decades to fully emerge, what does that actually tell us about the mechanisms of power? And maybe what unspoken histories might still be shaping our present right now unseen?